It was a cold, rainy night in October when I checked into the Algonquin Hotel in New York City. I had heard rumors about room 1210 being haunted, but I didn't believe in ghosts. I was a skeptic, and I thought the stories were just urban legends meant to thrill tourists. But what happened that night changed everything. I arrived at the hotel late, exhausted from a long day of travel. The lobby was warm and inviting, with its vintage decor and soft lighting. The front desk clerk handed me the key to room 1210 with a strange look in his eyes, but I didn't think much of it at the time. I took the elevator up to the 12th floor, dragging my suitcase behind me. The moment I stepped into the room, I felt it. A sudden, icy chill that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. The room was beautifully decorated, with antique furniture and a large, ornate mirror on the wall. But there was something off about it, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. I shrugged it off, blaming my unease on fatigue, and unpacked my things. I decided to take a shower before bed. As I stood under the hot water, I heard a faint sound, like someone whispering. I turned off the faucet and listened, but the room was silent. I told myself it was just the pipes and finished my shower. But as I stepped out of the bathroom, I saw something that made my blood run cold. The mirror on the wall was fogged up, except for one spot where the glass was clear. Written in the condensation were the words, "Help me." I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. I wiped the mirror with my hand, but the words didn't smudge. They were etched into the glass. I grabbed my phone and called the front desk, but the line was dead. I tried to calm myself down, telling myself it was just a prank, but deep down, I knew something was very wrong. I climbed into bed, hoping to sleep and forget about the strange occurrences. But as soon as I turned off the lights, the room came alive with activity. I heard footsteps pacing back and forth, even though I was alone. The temperature dropped so low that I could see my breath in the air. And then I heard it, the sound of a woman sobbing. The cries were soft at first, but they grew louder and more desperate, filling the room with an unbearable sadness. I pulled the covers over my head, trying to block out the sound, but it was no use. The sobbing was coming from inside the room, and it was getting closer. I felt a weight on the bed, as if someone had sat down beside me. I was too terrified to move, too terrified to even breathe. And then I felt it, a cold hand on my shoulder, gripping me tightly. I screamed and threw off the covers, but there was no one there. The room was empty, but the feeling of being watched was overwhelming. I grabbed my suitcase and ran to the door, but it wouldn't open. The handle wouldn't turn, no matter how hard I tried. I pounded on the door, shouting for help, but no one came. And then I heard a voice, faint and distant, but unmistakable. "Stay with me." I turned around and saw her, a woman in a vintage dress, her face pale and her eyes filled with sorrow. She was standing in the corner of the room, her hand outstretched as if pleading for help. I backed away, my heart racing, but she didn't move. She just stood there, staring at me with those haunting eyes. I don't know how long I stood there, paralyzed with fear, but eventually the door clicked open. I didn't stop to think. I grabbed my suitcase and ran out of the room, down the hallway, and into the elevator. I didn't look back. I checked out of the hotel that night and never returned. But I'll never forget what happened in room 1210. The woman's face, her voice, her sorrow, they haunt me to this day. I don't know who she was or why she chose to reveal herself to me, but I know one thing for certain. Room 1210 is haunted, and I will never set foot in that room again.